Prayer, a practice as ancient as humanity itself. From magnificent cathedrals to quiet bedrooms, people have lifted their voices in prayer throughout time. But something shifts when this connection goes silent. The human heart yearns for connection. This deep need drove generations to their knees in prayer. Yet today, many find their prayer lives growing quiet. The silence creeps in gradually, a missed morning prayer, a hurried grace at meals, until prayer becomes a memory rather than a practice. The story of Hannah in the Bible shows prayer's profound impact. Her desperate prayers for a child led to the birth of Samuel, who became a mighty prophet. She prayed with such intensity that Eli the priest thought she was drunk. Her story reveals what happens when someone maintains their prayer connection despite difficult circumstances. Modern life brings unique challenges to prayer. Notifications interrupt quiet moments. Packed schedules squeeze out prayer time. The constant noise of media drowns out the still, small voice that prayer cultivates. Research points to measurable changes when regular prayer stops. Studies show active prayer lives correlate with lower stress levels, better sleep patterns, and stronger emotional resilience. As prayer habits fade, these benefits often diminish. King David's life demonstrates prayer's vital role. His Psalms reveal intimate conversations with God. Raw, honest, sometimes desperate. When he stopped seeking God in prayer, as during the incident with Bathsheba, his decisions led to devastating consequences. The brain itself responds to regular prayer. Neuroscientists observe enhanced activity in areas associated with empathy, focus, and emotional regulation among those who maintain consistent prayer practices. When prayer stops, these neural patterns often shift. Consider Moses on Mount Sinai, spending 40 days in God's presence. This extended prayer time transformed him so profoundly that his face shone. While modern prayer might not produce visible light, its absence creates noticeable shadows in life's various dimensions. Relationships often reflect prayer's presence or absence. Regular prayer cultivates patience, forgiveness, and compassion. Without this spiritual practice, relationships typically become more transactional and less grace-filled. Daniel's prayer habit proved so crucial that he risked death rather than stop praying. 3 times daily, he knelt before his window facing Jerusalem. This consistency provided strength during persecution and clarity during confusion. The workplace reveals prayer's impact too. Those who maintain active prayer lives report greater peace during professional challenges and clearer ethical boundaries. When prayer stops, decision-making often shifts toward expedience rather than principle. Jesus himself modeled prayer's necessity. He withdrew to lonely places to pray, sometimes spending entire nights in prayer. Before major decisions and after significant ministry, he prioritized this connection with the Father. The early church began in a prayer meeting. The book of Acts shows the disciples gathering for prayer as their first response to challenges. When modern believers stop praying, they often lose this reflexive turn toward divine help. Medical professionals increasingly recognize prayer's health benefits. Regular prayer correlates with lower blood pressure, reduced anxiety, and stronger immune function. When prayer stops, physical health sometimes shows subtle declines. Mental health specialists note similar patterns. Prayer provides a way to process trauma, manage stress, and maintain hope. Without this spiritual outlet, emotional burdens often become heavier and harder to bear. Paul's instruction to pray without ceasing speaks to prayer's vital role in spiritual health. This doesn't mean endless verbal prayer, but maintaining an attitude of connection with God. When this connection fades, spiritual vitality often decreases. Family dynamics shift when prayer patterns change. Homes where prayer was once central often experience increased tension and decreased unity when this practice fades. The spiritual covering that prayer provides leaves a noticeable gap. Children particularly sense these changes. They might not articulate it, but they notice when bedtime prayers become rushed, or family grace before meals disappears. These shifts can impact their own spiritual formation. The absence of prayer affects how people handle life's uncertainties. Regular prayer builds trust in divine providence. Without this foundation, anxiety about the future often increases. Missionary journals throughout history reveal prayer's crucial role in maintaining courage and clarity. When prayer lives weakened, doubt and discouragement often followed. Modern believers report similar experiences. The story of Nehemiah shows prayer's role in leadership. His first response to Jerusalem's broken walls was prayer. This pattern of prayer-guided leadership carried him through opposition and challenges. Corporate prayer's decline impacts communities too. Churches where prayer meetings once filled rooms now struggle to gather people for prayer. This shift often precedes declining spiritual vitality in congregations. Recovery from prayerlessness brings remarkable renewal. Many report that returning to regular prayer produces noticeable improvements in peace, clarity, and spiritual sensitivity. Like a plant turning toward sunlight, the soul naturally responds to renewed prayer connection. Elijah's experience on Mount Carmel demonstrates prayer's power to break spiritual drought. His persistent prayer brought rain after 3 years of drought. Today, renewed prayer often brings similar spiritual breakthrough. The effects of stopping prayer extend beyond spiritual life, touching relationships, health, decision-making, and peace of mind. Yet the invitation to return always remains open. Prayer's door never closes completely, waiting for each person to rediscover this vital connection.